Imagine, if you will, two of the most formidable natural wonders in North America stirring from their slumber at the same time. Beneath the serene landscapes of the Pacific Northwest and the wild heart of Wyoming, immense forces are at work. Mount St. Helens, a name synonymous with explosive power, and the Yellowstone supervolcano, a sleeping giant of continental scale, are both showing signs of renewed activity. This simultaneous unrest, a rare and fascinating phenomenon, has captured the full attention of the scientific community. It presents a profound reminder that the ground beneath our feet is not static, but a dynamic and ever-changing surface, shaped by the immense heat and pressure that churns deep within our planet's core. For decades, these volcanoes have been relatively quiet, allowing forests to regrow and wildlife to flourish upon their slopes and plains. Mount St. Helens has been in a long period of recharging since its last dramatic outburst, while Yellowstone has slumbered for hundreds of thousands of years. But recent events, beginning in 2024 and continuing into this year, 2025, suggest a new chapter may be unfolding. Scientists, our dedicated observers of the Earth's pulse, have noted a symphony of subtle signals that point towards movement and change. It is a delicate and complex situation, one that requires careful observation rather than immediate alarm, but it is a development of global significance that we must seek to understand. The question that naturally arises is whether these two events are connected. Are these volcanoes communicating in some way through the vast and complex plumbing of the Earth's crust, or is their simultaneous stirring merely a coincidence? This is one of the great mysteries that geologists are now trying to unravel. The possibility of an interconnection, however faint, between these two powerful systems opens up new avenues of research and forces us to reconsider our understanding of the vast geological province of Western North America. The story of their reawakening is not just about fire and ash, it is about the intricate and powerful connections that govern our world. This essay will explore the recent stirrings of Mount St. Helens and Yellowstone, examining the evidence that has put scientists on high alert. We will journey back in time to understand their destructive pasts, look at the remarkable technology used to monitor them today, and consider what the future might hold if one or both were to erupt. This is not a story meant to inspire fear, but rather one of awe and respect for the immense power of nature. It is a call to remain informed, to trust in the science that keeps us safe, and to appreciate the profound and untamable beauty of the living planet we call home. The signs that a volcano is stirring are often subtle, like whispers from deep within the earth, long before any roar is heard. At Mount St. Helens, these whispers have become more frequent and insistent. Geologists from the United States Geological Survey, or USGS, have reported that the volcano has entered a recharging phase. This means that magma, the molten rock from the Earth's mantle, is slowly moving upward, repressurizing the chambers that have been emptying since its last eruption. This process is accompanied by swarms of small, shallow earthquakes, too faint for people to feel, but meticulously recorded by a network of sensitive instruments placed around the mountain. Each tiny tremor is a clue, a piece of a puzzle that tells a story of movement and building pressure. Similarly, at Yellowstone, the signs are different in nature but equally significant. The ground itself is breathing. Advanced satellite measurements have revealed that the vast Yellowstone caldera, the collapsed crater from an ancient eruption, is rising at an accelerated rate. In some areas, the ground has been pushed upward by several inches over a remarkably short period. This phenomenon, known as ground deformation or uplift, is a classic indicator that magma or superheated fluids are accumulating closer to the surface. It is as if a giant underground creature is taking a slow, deep breath, causing the land above to swell. This movement is a powerful visual confirmation of the immense forces at play beneath the park's famous geysers and hot springs. Beyond the shaking and swelling ground, other telltale signs have been observed at both locations. At Mount St. Helens, there has been a noticeable increase in the emission of volcanic gases, such as sulfur dioxide, which are released as magma rises and depressurizes. Local residents have even reported seeing steam rising from the ground in new places, and have noted that the water in nearby streams and lakes is warmer than usual. These are direct, tangible consequences of the heat engine reawakening deep below. At Yellowstone, a recent scientific study has suggested that the vast reservoir of magma and its associated superheated components have shifted slightly, now concentrated more toward the northeast of the caldera, indicating a dynamic and evolving system. These observations, the microquakes, the ground uplift, the gas emissions, and the thermal anomalies, collectively paint a picture of two volcanic systems in a state of flux. While none of these signs on their own guarantee an imminent eruption, their simultaneous occurrence at two of the nation's most monitored volcanoes is scientifically unprecedented in modern times. It is a compelling geological drama unfolding in slow motion. The Earth is speaking to us through the language of physics and chemistry, and it is the crucial task of scientists to listen carefully, interpret these whispers, and understand what they might mean for the future of the landscape and all who inhabit it. To comprehend the potential significance of today's events, we must look to the echoes of the past, for the history of these volcanoes is written in layers of ash and rock. The eruption of Mount St. Helens on May 18, 1980, remains etched in the living memory of a generation. It was not a simple vertical blast but a catastrophic lateral explosion. The volcano's northern flank, which had been visibly bulging for weeks, collapsed in a massive landslide, uncorking the pressurized magma system within. The resulting blast flattened over 230 square miles of pristine forest in an instant, sending a superheated cloud of ash, gas, and rock sweeping across the landscape at hundreds of miles per hour. The eruption claimed 57 lives and sent a towering plume of ash 15 miles into the atmosphere, darkening skies and blanketing states far downwind. The 1980 event transformed our understanding of volcanic hazards and demonstrated the terrifying speed and power of such explosions. It reshaped not just the mountain, which lost over 1,300 feet of its summit, but also the science of volcanology itself. Scientists learned invaluable lessons about the precursors to an eruption and the importance of continuous, real-time monitoring. While experts believe another lateral blast of that exact nature is unlikely due to the deep, open crater that now exists, the memory of 1980 serves as a powerful and humbling reminder of what Mount St. Helens is capable of. It is a benchmark against which all current activity is measured, a stark illustration of the destructive force that is now slowly rebuilding deep beneath the crater floor. Yellowstone's history is written on an altogether different timescale and magnitude. It is not just a volcano, it is a supervolcano, meaning it is capable of an eruption thousands of times larger than that of Mount St. Helens. Its past is marked by three colossal caldera-forming eruptions. The most recent of these cataclysms occurred approximately 640,000 years ago, an event so vast it ejected over 240 cubic miles of rock and ash, enough material to bury a large state several feet deep. This eruption created the massive Yellowstone caldera we see today, a depression stretching nearly 45 miles across. Its ancient ash can still be found in geological layers from California to the Mississippi River, a silent testament to its continental reach. An eruption of Yellowstone on that scale today is almost unimaginable, and scientists are clear that such an event is not expected for many thousands of years. The current signs of unrest are minuscule compared to what would precede a super eruption. However, the sheer scale of its past explosions defines its potential hazard. Even a smaller eruption at Yellowstone, perhaps a hydrothermal explosion or a lava flow, could have significant regional impacts. The history of these two volcanoes, one of recent violent memory and the other of ancient continental devastation, provides the essential context for why the simultaneous signs of unrest are being treated with such profound seriousness and scientific rigor. Their pasts are a prologue to the present. To understand why two volcanoes hundreds of miles apart might stir at the same time, we must zoom out and view them within their larger geological context. Both Mount St. Helens and the Yellowstone supervolcano are part of a vast, interconnected network of tectonic activity known as the Pacific Ring of Fire. This immense, horseshoe-shaped zone stretches for 25,000 miles around the rim of the Pacific Ocean, from the tip of South America up the coast of North America, across the Aleutian Islands of Alaska, down through Japan and into Southeast Asia and New Zealand. It is here that the Earth's great tectonic plates collide, pull apart, and slide past one another, creating the most seismically and volcanically active region on the planet. This ring is not a solid, static structure but a dynamic system where stress and pressure are constantly being transferred. The majestic volcanoes of the Cascade Range, including Mount St. Helens, are formed by a process called subduction, where the oceanic Juan de Fuca plate is forced beneath the continental North American plate. As the oceanic plate sinks, it melts, creating the magma that fuels these volcanoes. Yellowstone's origins are different. It is believed to be situated over a hotspot, a stationary plume of superheated material rising from deep within the Earth's mantle. As the North American plate has drifted over this hotspot for millions of years, the plume has punched through the crust, creating a chain of ancient calderas. The critical question now being investigated by scientists is whether these two different volcanic systems, one driven by subduction and the other by a hotspot, could be influencing each other. While they are not directly linked by a shared magma chamber, they exist within the same broad region of tectonic stress. Some geologists speculate that the immense forces at play in one area could transmit subtle pressure changes through the crust, like ripples in a pond, affecting the delicate equilibrium of the other. The activity at Mount St. Helens, for example, might be altering the regional stress field in a way that allows magma at Yellowstone to move more easily, or vice versa. This is a frontier of geological science where the intricate plumbing of our planet is still being mapped. This hypothesis of interconnection is further supported by faint signs of unrest at other nearby volcanoes, such as Mount Hood in Oregon, which has also shown subtle signs of ground movement and heat. This raises the possibility of a regional chain reaction, where the awakening of one volcanic system could gently nudge its neighbors. While this remains a theory, it underscores the importance of a holistic approach to volcano monitoring. Scientists cannot simply look at each volcano in isolation. They must consider the entire tectonic province as a single, complex and potentially interconnected system. The simultaneous stirring of these giants may be the first clear sign of this deep continental scale connection. In the face of such immense natural power, our greatest tool is knowledge. To that end, a sophisticated and ever-vigilant network of technology keeps a constant watch over America's volcanoes. This field of science, known as volcano monitoring, is a remarkable blend of geology, physics, and cutting-edge engineering. At places like Mount St. Helens and Yellowstone, the USGS and its partner institutions have deployed an extensive array of sensors that act as the eyes and ears of the scientific community. These instruments provide a continuous stream of data, allowing geologists to detect the slightest changes that might signal an impending eruption, often long before any visible signs appear at the surface. One of the cornerstones of modern volcano monitoring is the study of seismicity. Networks of highly sensitive seismometers are strategically placed on and around the volcanoes to detect microquakes. These tiny tremors, caused by rock fracturing as magma forces its way upward, create a distinctive acoustic signature. By analyzing the location, depth, and frequency of these earthquake swarms, scientists can track the movement of magma in 3 dimensions, essentially creating a real-time map of the volcano's underground plumbing. This seismic data is often the very first indicator that a volcanic system is becoming more active, providing a crucial early warning. Another critical tool is the Global Positioning System, or GPS. High-precision GPS stations, anchored permanently into the ground, can measure changes in their position with millimeter-level accuracy. As magma accumulates beneath a volcano, the ground surface above it will swell and deform. These GPS stations can detect this subtle inflation, providing clear evidence of pressurization within the magma chamber. This is complemented by satellite-based technology called INSAR, Interferometric Synthetic Aperture Radar, which can create detailed maps of ground deformation over vast areas, like the entire Yellowstone caldera, revealing patterns of uplift or subsidence that would be impossible to see with the naked eye. Finally, scientists closely monitor the gases that volcanoes release. As magma rises toward the surface, the decreasing pressure allows dissolved gases, most notably sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide, to escape. Spectrometers, both on the ground and mounted on aircraft or satellites, can measure the concentration of these gases in the volcanic plume. A sudden increase in the output of sulfur dioxide is a particularly strong indicator that fresh, gas-rich magma is nearing the surface. By combining data from seismometers, GPS, satellites, and gas sensors, scientists can build a comprehensive picture of a volcano's behavior, allowing them to make more reliable forecasts and provide timely warnings to the public. Understanding the signs of volcanic unrest is vital because the consequences of an eruption can be profound, extending far beyond the immediate vicinity of the mountain. If Mount St. Helens were to erupt again, the nature of the hazard would depend on the style of the eruption. A relatively contained event might involve the slow extrusion of a lava dome within the crater, with minimal impact on the surrounding area. However, a more explosive eruption could generate towering ash plumes, pyroclastic flows, and lahars. Pyroclastic flows are fast-moving, superheated avalanches of gas, ash, and rock that incinerate everything in their path, while lahars are destructive volcanic mud flows that can travel for dozens of miles down river valleys, burying towns and infrastructure. The most widespread impact from a Mount St. Helens eruption would likely be airborne volcanic ash. This fine, abrasive material, composed of tiny shards of rock and glass, poses a significant threat. It can disrupt air travel across the country, as it can damage and shut down jet engines. On the ground, heavy ashfall can collapse roofs, contaminate water supplies, damage crops, and cause respiratory problems for people and animals. The 1980 eruption spread measurable ash across multiple states, demonstrating how a single volcanic event can have far-reaching economic and social consequences. Emergency planners in the Pacific Northwest regularly drill for such a scenario, preparing for evacuations, transportation shutdowns, and public health challenges. The potential impact of a major Yellowstone eruption, though exceedingly unlikely in our lifetimes, exists on an entirely different scale of magnitude. A super eruption would be a global catastrophe. It could eject a colossal volume of ash and sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere, forming a veil that would partially block sunlight from reaching the Earth's surface. This could trigger a volcanic winter, leading to a significant drop in global temperatures for several years. The consequences for agriculture would be devastating, causing widespread crop failures and threatening the global food supply. It would be a climate-altering event with cascading effects on ecosystems and human civilization worldwide. Even a smaller, more localized eruption at Yellowstone would be a major event. An eruption within the caldera could produce vast lava flows that would permanently alter the landscape of the national park, while pyroclastic flows could devastate areas across Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. The ashfall from such an event would still be significant enough to cover half the United States, paralyzing transportation, communications, and the power grid. It is this immense potential for destruction, both regional and global, that makes the diligent monitoring of Yellowstone so critically important. The stakes are simply too high to ignore the whispers from this sleeping giant. With news of two major volcanoes stirring simultaneously, it is natural to feel a sense of unease. The images conjured by their names are of immense power and destruction. However, it is crucial to approach this situation with a perspective grounded in scientific reality, embracing caution while firmly rejecting panic. The most important message from the scientific community is that volcanoes often go through periods of unrest without ever erupting. These cycles of recharging, seismic activity, and gas release are a normal part of a volcano's life. They can last for years or even decades, and they can also subside just as quietly as they began, with the system returning to a state of slumber. Public anxiety is often fueled by sensationalism and misinformation, which can spread rapidly in our connected world. Therefore, it is more important than ever to rely on credible sources for information. The United States Geological Survey, or USGS, is the official authority responsible for monitoring the nation's volcanoes and communicating the associated hazards. Their websites and public statements provide real-time data, clear explanations of the current alert levels, and fact-based assessments from the world's leading experts. Following these official channels ensures that you are receiving accurate information, free from hyperbole or alarmism, allowing you to understand the situation as it truly is, not as it is imagined to be. This period of heightened activity serves as a valuable opportunity not for fear, but for preparedness. For those living in regions near active volcanoes, it is a practical reminder to review and update emergency plans. This includes having a family communication plan, assembling an emergency kit with essentials like water, food, and a first aid kit, and knowing the designated evacuation routes in your community. Local authorities, schools, and hospitals in the Pacific Northwest and the greater Yellowstone area are already doing this, reviewing their own response protocols to ensure they are ready for any potential scenario. Preparedness is an empowering act. It replaces anxiety with a sense of control and readiness. Ultimately, the current situation does not warrant a change in daily life for the vast majority of people. Scientists have emphasized that there are no signs of an imminent eruption at either Mount St. Helens or Yellowstone. The alert levels, while elevated for scientific monitoring, remain well below the thresholds that would indicate immediate danger. we can continue to visit and appreciate the beauty of these natural landscapes, secure in the knowledge that they are being watched by the most advanced monitoring systems in history. The key is to remain informed, to be prepared, and to place our trust in the careful, methodical work of the scientists who have dedicated their lives to understanding these magnificent and powerful features of our planet. The simultaneous unrest at Mount St. Helens in Yellowstone serves as a profound lesson in humility. It reminds us that we live on a dynamic and powerful planet, one whose immense geological forces operate on timescales far beyond our own comprehension. These volcanoes are not malicious entities, they are fundamental features of the Earth's natural processes, the very same processes that have created continents, forged mountains, and enriched the soil upon which we depend. To live alongside these giants is to accept a world that is not entirely within our control. It requires not fear, but a deep and abiding respect for the power of nature and an appreciation for the delicate balance that allows us to coexist. This ongoing geological event also highlights the incredible value of scientific inquiry. For centuries, volcanoes were sources of myth and terror, their behavior unpredictable and seemingly magical. Today, thanks to generations of scientific research and technological innovation, we can listen to the Earth's heartbeat. We can track the movement of magma miles beneath the surface, measure the subtle swelling of a mountain, and analyze the chemical composition of its breath. This knowledge is our shield. It allows us to move from a position of passive fear to one of active understanding and readiness, enabling us to make informed decisions that protect lives and communities. Continued investment in earth sciences is not an academic luxury, it is a critical component of our long-term safety and resilience. Furthermore, this situation encourages a global perspective. An eruption at either of these locations would not be a purely American event. The ash from Mount St. Helens could disrupt international air travel, while a major Yellowstone eruption would have climatic and agricultural consequences felt around the world. It is a stark reminder that we are all connected, not just by economies and cultures, but by the shared atmosphere and climate of our planet. The challenges posed by natural hazards transcend national borders, demanding international cooperation in scientific research, data sharing, and emergency planning. Understanding and preparing for these events is a collective responsibility for all of humanity. In the end, the story of Mount St. Helens in Yellowstone is a story about our relationship with the planet. It calls on us to be attentive students, to listen to what the Earth is telling us, and to act with wisdom and foresight. We must not take the stability of the ground beneath us for granted. By staying informed, fostering scientific literacy, and preparing our communities, we honor the power of these natural wonders and ensure that we can continue to live safely and sustainably on this beautiful, ever-changing, and wonderfully untamable world. The giants are stirring, and in their movement, they offer us a chance to learn, to prepare, and to grow in our understanding of our planetary home.